Debt collectors want to see my father-in-law. Well, here you go. For a small bit of context, my father-in-law died about 2 years ago. He was living with us at the time due to health issues. About 6 months after his death, we started getting letters from debt collectors asking for stupid amounts of money. We did as asked and provided a copy of his death certificate and were told it was sorted. He didn't have much money and covered his funeral. Father-in-law wanted to be cremated, so we did as asked and had him stashed in a cupboard under the stairs. Wife has put his ashes under a tree but saved some for if we ever move. A few weeks ago, we had several suited men turn up at our house. I go out the back door and walk to the front of our house. Smallhold farm. I ask the men what they are doing on my property and they say they're here to collect on an outstanding debt. I ask to see their paperwork. Only debt we have is a mortgage which we paid on time without fail. As I'm looking over the paperwork, they're looking over at my car, work equipment, etc., looking like they've hit a jackpot. I noticed the name was father-in-law and explained to them he'd been dead for about 2 years. They demanded to see him as they have no record of this and that they will take items to cover his debts. I pull out my phone and text my wife to call the police because of trespassers, and I ask her to put her dad's ashes on the front porch. I tell the debt collectors I've contacted her father and he will be with us shortly. And until he is here, they are to wait off my property as I'm the homeowner. I had to show them my ID to prove I wasn't the man they were looking for. Once the police turned up, they all drove back onto my property and I fetched the box of ashes. The debt collectors asked again if they could speak to father-in-law, so I then handed them the bag of ashes which had a label that reads the remains of father-in-law and the date. I looked the main debt collector in the face and said, I told you he was dead several times and you still asked to see him. Hope you guys have a good chat and are able to sort out this mess. Oh, and while you're speaking to him, can you ask him where he left my spare workshop key? I turned to the police and explained how I've also asked them to get off my property several times and they refused because they needed to see my father-in-law. They hand back the ashes and are getting ready to leave. I looked at the police officer and he burst out laughing. And the officer asks if they will be coming back or are they satisfied with this evidence. They claim to be happy with it. I have now added a lock to my main gate and an intercom. This morning I get a buzz just as I'm getting set up for the morning's work. Same debt collection company wanting again to see father-in-law. I grab the box of ashes and copies of the death certificate and head down to the main gate. 2 suited gentlemen and a very large van blocking my gate. I've driven down in my van and I get out of the box and papers in hand. I again explain that he is dead. I show his death certificate and they again ask to speak to him. So I hand over the box and ask for their head office phone number. I stand in front of them calling their boss and explain that I've shown them the death certificate and his ashes. How do they expect him to pay his debts now he's dead? They have assured me that they will not be returning.